Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name's Luke, and I'm joined by a recent guest, Brittany Bickhart. Welcome back.
Thank you very much. I love it. Thanks for having me.
It's always great having you on the show. I said a recent guest because we had you on about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, because you were building up to a Muay Thai kickboxing fight for USKA out there at the Hamburg Fieldhouse on the east side of Pennsylvania. And so you're back now about a week, a little under a week after the fight. You were victorious. So let's start there. How does it feel to get that win in your fight there last Saturday?
That win was so needed. You have no idea. Mentally, especially, athletes understand, fighters understand. I came off of a knockout like 2 years ago. And then for my MMA debut, I lost that by decision. So mentally, I really needed a win. I went in there. I just wanted to win so bad. I think I carried that with me through the fight to push past when I got tired. So winning was amazing. It's great.
Well, that is what can be so good. It's not just the physical side, because I know the time we've had you on, you train physically very hard and you're very capable as a fighter, but like you were saying, it's the mental side. So what do you think is the biggest boost up mentally about getting a win that you did last week?
I think it just reassures you, all of your hard work is worth something. It's hard, especially for my last fight for MMA, my debut. I felt that I did everything I could have leading up to it. I was mentally ready. I spoke to you before, I was confident. Everything felt perfect. Like, how could I lose? And then it slips through your fingers and you're like, what now? So, and you kind of naturally start to question yourself, like, am I cut out for this? Is this really what I should do? And, I think winning is a good confidence builder for fighters. And it was, at least for me. I can say that, I'm like, oh, okay, I still have this. Like, I got this. So it definitely was needed for the confidence.
Absolutely. And the confidence is so important because you're training so much. Now you have the proof that what you're doing works, which is so great. Let's get to round by round because you got the win, but now that you've had a few days to process it, let's start with round one. What stands out as a surprise in round one, and what was working in round one?
What I was surprised at is she was very aggressive. She threw a lot more at me than I thought she was going to. I knew she was good. She was 2-1, but I think it kind of like took me back, and I think they gave her the first round. And so after round one, I was kind of like, oh, okay, like this is the real deal. I need to get serious and I need to slow down my, I was just kind of throwing and not thinking about it. I wasn't really defending properly. I wasn't trying to, take space away. I was letting her corner me. So, for the first round, I definitely wasn't as offensive as I should have been. And I kind of just reacted a lot. So, first round definitely took me by surprise for sure.
Sure. And then as we're going through the fight, you made it to your corner after the first round. What was it like? I know we had talked about having the cornerman. I know one of your corners is your coach and the other one is a coach / more of a friend there for support. So how were they in the corner, and what type of game plan did they have for you in the first round corner?
So, of course, we always start the process. As soon as I get to the corner, I take 7 deep breaths before they even start talking to me to collect myself, because I was kind of like gassed right away with my adrenaline and everything. And he just started, saying, pick your shots better, don't let her just come in at you, don't let her just corner you, keep your distance, and like start chipping away at her, and just kind of like put the whole game plan together instead of just tit for tat. Which I did actually just go back and do, but, and he said to clinch more, which I still need to work on, but he just said, don't let her, control what you're doing. You go out there and do what you need to do. So it was good.
Absolutely. And so then how did the clinch work for you in the second round?
So in the second round, she actually, initiated the clinch. She would come up and clinch. And I shouldn't have done this, but it's just me being honest. It's when I took like a breath because she really wasn't throwing anything devastating there. That's where I need to work on my game. You know, if someone's clenching me up and they're not good at it, then I need to prove my clinch game, because it's something I've really been working towards. And that's something that my coach was like, hold on, you still have me, my phone.
Yep, you're good. You're good.
But he was like, yeah, you failed in the clench. And that's okay, because we learned something even from wins. So honestly, in the clench, I should have done way more. I kind of just like let her throw some, and I like kind of like threw some knees up, but I didn't really work it like I should have, honestly.
Well, you just said a great statement that you can learn to improve on things even from a win. I know there's a really healthy mindset that fighters have after a loss, that it's like, hey, I've got something to learn now because I lost, something didn't work the way I wanted it to. And sometimes fighters get a little bit too cocky or arrogant after a win, thinking, hey, who cares? I've known fighters that were very obviously having some defensive issues in their fights, but then they win. So then they never improve the defense because they're like, hey, who cares? I'm winning. So definitely you have that humility and that desire to learn. Obviously, you'd want to improve on your clinch defense. What was working better for you, because you won your second round, correct? Mm-hmm. So what was working better for you to get the to win it on the scorecard?
I noticed that she wasn't really giving me a reason to stop kicking her. And that's something that Coach Will always works with us. If you kick someone in the leg and they don't check it, why would you stop? So I started working the leg. She wasn't checking any of them, so I just kept throwing leg kicks. When I would kick to the body, I noticed they would land, and sometimes she would kind of like nod at me like, oh, good one. And so I knew I was kind of like getting good shots on. So I just started letting my kicks rip, and she would just come in with punches, and I would just throw kicks as she was coming in on me. So I think that's what, she wasn't really giving me a reason to stop going at her either. So.
Okay. And then, I mean, that's the really good mindset part of a fight, that your coaches have prepared you to have a game plan so that if she's not checking the kicks, then you keep using them. It's always surprising after a fight, understandably, because the adrenaline, that fighters will say, oh, I don't really know how much I was doing of this technique or that technique, because you're in a fight. So it does help to kind of think about what you're doing while you're doing it. So what was the game plan going into the third round? Did your coaches tell you that you were tied up? Was that kind of the knowledge going into the third round?
So I didn't really know. I knew it was really close. They didn't really say like, oh, she had round one, you had the second round. Honestly, what he said, I just really remember, and it stuck in my head, is, Chris is like very hardcore and his classes are just good. And it's all about pushing and suck it up. Who cares? And he was like, listen, you both are tired. I don't care. You need to suck it up, go out there and win this fight, because that's what's going to make a difference right now. Sure. No one cares that you're tired. Go out there and win the fight. And so I was like, all right, let's go. Like, I am very tired, but you know what? I'm going to regret this forever, because losing sucks. So I'm just going to push past this. So that was really what it was just pushing past just complete exhaustion in the third round.
Well, and obviously it's great that you have that mental toughness to be able to push past it, knowing that that's when you won the fight. You won the fight in the third round. It's always challenging going into the third round, I think, for fighters when they know they're up 2 rounds, because then sometimes they fight differently and end up potentially losing because they were ahead, so they're kind of relaxing. And then, of course, it's even maybe more difficult in your shoes when you are exhausted, and that's the rubber match round. So what worked for you in that round?
Definitely leg kicks. Once again, and I'm starting to understand it a little bit better as I'm, evolving, is, and honestly, I would just throw something just to touch her to score a point. I'm like, I see something open, I'm just going to start touching her. But she really did not check any leg kicks. And I just remember there was a time where I threw like 3 in a row, just kept chopping at the leg, chopping at the leg, chopping at the leg. There was one time where she like stumbled back, and I just kept coming at her, throwing kicks, I remember it kept going to the head, throw a head kick, but really, I honestly think it was the leg kicks. I have to really watch like how they scored it, but I just know that was something that she just let land solid all the time.
Well, it's obviously great for you that you were able to find such a offensive weapon for you. And I know you've trained in about every aspect of MMA because we've had you on for MMA. Have you ever used kicks that much? I mean, I know MMA is a completely different environment, but did it increase your confidence level of using kicks in an MMA world?
Yes, definitely. Just letting them rip, because especially when you're training with your training partners, we all train, like checking leg kicks. So it's harder to land them at practice. So you kind of like second guess yourself. But
Right.
when you're out there just ripping them on someone, it feels really good. So it's definitely something that I'm gonna keep with me.
Well, absolutely. And I know that you just came from training. So here we are, 5 days from your fight, maybe under 5 days, and you're back obviously to training. How much time did you take off? How did your body feel after the fight? And what made you get back into training again so soon after the fight?
I think honestly, everybody's different, but for me, it's easier to be back in the gym after a win. It pumps me up. It just makes me want to train again. This isn't like my end goal. Winning's great, but it was just another weekend and winning just build my confidence. But I honestly was right back in the gym at 5:30 a.m. to wrestle on Monday. And it just felt like thankfully I didn't get hurt. I don't think she got hurt. She was a great person to go against. She seems, like she's going to go far too. So, we both can just build from it. And, it just kind of felt like a really hard sparring round. Nothing like traumatic happened to me, thank God. So I was right back into it. I'm stoked for the next thing.
Okay. And since you said you're stoked for the next thing and you're already training, what would you want your next thing to be?
I would really like to get back into MMA. That's what I would like to evolve more on, but I would do whatever comes my way. Like we talked before in the last one, sometimes it's harder for women, people drop out. So if I get a Muay Thai fight first, that's great. If I get an MMA fight, that's great too. It's all good experience. So whatever comes my way.
Absolutely. And I know that 247 Fighting Championships that actually has a fight, two fight events coming up Saturday, May 22nd there. I know that they have featured women bouts before, and unfortunately their title fight that was going to be a women's title fight fell off because of one of the fighters pulling out. So clearly, hopefully you can at some point add to the women fighting MMA in the Pittsburgh area now that you're in the Pittsburgh area, because anywhere women are fighting, it's a big deal because it's a smaller pool. And so it'd be really great to see you. Speaking of 247, are you going to be there? Do you have people from your gym on that fight card for 247?
So I would like to go. I'm not 100% sure if I'm gonna at least watch it. I'm gonna buy the online pass. So we actually don't have anybody at our gym on the
Oh,
card. Some fights fell through.
yeah.
One of my training partners, Tim Bailey, he was supposed to have a fight. It was his debut.
Uh,
Unfortunately, his opponent dropped out. So we actually don't have in the Pittsburgh area. We don't, but there's a lot of guys that we cross train with at Mat
sure.
Factory in the academy. And
Right.
they're basically my teammates too. So I'm definitely going to be supporting them this weekend.
Sure. Well, I mean, obviously, I think that's great. I think Pittsburgh has probably four Indio Dojo. That gym is starting to put fighters out there, and but the big three before had been the stout training that you're with, and then of course Matt Factory and the Academy. So it's always great to see Pittsburgh really developing these great fighters. So I obviously want to have you back on your next fight, whatever you've got coming up. It's great seeing you develop. Congratulations on the huge win, not only getting it, but what that did for your confidence and for you on the emotional side. So keep up the good work, and I look forward to having you on before your next fight.
Thank you so, so much. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, take care. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much. See ya.